Hey, it's Steve from the SP Show, and we are doing our first podcast from our November 1st show. We are talking about James Harden debut with the Houston Rockets. We're also talking about Anderson Varejao's spectacular performance, which compares somewhat to Chamberlain's performance. Is he that good? Will he be that good? Will any historical records be broken? Is Lionel Messi the best player in the soccer world right now? What are our thoughts about the MVP chants regarding Spencer Hawes in his performance against the Denver Nuggets in the season opener for the Philadelphia 76ers? Are MVP chants reasonable? Should these happen? Our thoughts about the Lakers going 0-2. Will they continue to struggle? What do we see coming up in the Clippers-Lakers rivalry game? All this and more in our November 1st show podcast of the SP Show. SPS Radio on YouTube. Thanks for listening, and the podcast starts right now.
I did not see that James Harden trade coming, and I actually have not gone in and read the particulars of that trade. What they give up for him?
It was Cole Aldridge, it was Daquan Cook, it was Kevin Martin, and it was, I forgot his name, and I like him, Jeremy Lamb, there you go, and draft picks. That's what the trade included.
Wow.
Yeah. Cole Aldridge is going to be released, and then you have the draft picks.
This guy has gone from being a sixth man and the best sixth man in the league. Now he is the man. And based on his performance last night, wow, what a move by the Houston Rockets.
Yeah.
They have actually upgraded themselves tremendously. Harden is he is a all-around player, and that's the thing that Oklahoma City loved about him. And this guy, he had 12 assists last night.
Yeah.
So he was setting Lin up. He makes Jeremy Lin a better basketball player, where he doesn't have to focus so much on distributing the basketball. You got a two-headed demon in Houston now. You got a two-headed monster. If Harden has the ball, he's looking to set teammates up as well at this point. So I'm thoroughly impressed with Houston making that move and going out and improving their team.
That trade was good all around, I think it was a good trade for both sides. But the Rockets definitely are making advantage of it immediately, so.
But wow, I wish I had that back today, because I honestly see Houston now as a playoff team.
But that's definitely right. I mean, they are that border team, They can easily make the playoffs, but they can easily miss the playoffs. They're just that type of team. I said 42 wins, no playoffs. You said 41 wins, no playoffs. Yeah,
I probably would have to bump them for about 48, 49 with just that move.
Who knows? Injuries might take place.
You're right.
People have been mentioning the Lakers today. They played 2 games so far, and like last year, they lost them both. They lost to the Trailblazers, and they lost to the Mavericks. Well, what do you think is going on with the Lakers? Like, they just can't start on the right foot.
Well, it's about chemistry. And I mentioned when I made my predictions that Steve Nash doesn't have to do a whole lot. Well, it turns out he really does. He really needs to involve himself. He needs to make sure that he is not taking a backseat to the rest of those superstars on that team, because Steve Nash is a superstar in his own right. Yeah. So what I've seen in the first 2 games is Steve Nash kind of taking a backseat, making sure that that Kobe distributes, making sure that everybody is touching the ball, but Steve hasn't really imposed his will, so to speak. And now last night he gets a little banged up. I'm not sure what his status is, but he got a little banged up last night and had to come out of the game. So it's going to take a minute. It's going to take a minute for that chemistry to kick in, and I think I did mention that. I do recall saying something about chemistry as it relates to the Lakers, but I have absolutely no doubts that that team will figure it out. And again, we'll be in the NBA Finals. And, we'll be champions of the league.
But a while ago, not a discussion, okay? We weren't arguing. But we were kind of debating the fact that Steve Nash might have to do a little bit more labor with the Lakers. And I told you, Steve Nash needs to try harder, Dwight Howard, pump up his game a little bit, just so that the Lakers can get the chemistry going on its own, and then they can stay on track. That's what I told you, something along those lines. I don't exactly remember, but I did say Steve Nash would have to try a little harder. That's what he's proving. I mean, I don't even know his status either, but he's just not playing how he should be right now, That's why they're 0-2.
Right.
That's why.
Right.
A little bit more.
Yeah, they got a little work to do. They got their work cut out for them, but, I mean, how many rings Kobe have? 5? Yeah, we'll figure it out. He has the I guess the resume to figure that thing out, and I'm looking forward to the end result. I'm really, really looking forward to the end result because those guys can flat out play.
Yeah.
So, with him kind of leading the ship, yeah, it's gonna be crazy.
It really is.
The Lakers and LeBron in the finals. You heard it here, and the Lakers in 7.
Who do you think is the leader of the Lakers? I mean, it might be kind of a weird question to ask. Kobe's been there for a while, but you have Nash and Howard. Who do you think is the face of the Lakers right now? Not only leading the team back into winning, but who's the leader of the team? Who do you think is the leader?
The unquestioned leader of the Los Angeles Lakers until he retires is Kobe Bryant.
Yeah,
there is no discussion. He made that crystal clear in the offseason. He basically came out and said that, and in no uncertain terms, I'm the leader of this team.
Nash is a great distributor,
He is absolutely a great distributor. He's probably absolutely a great leader. He actually is a great leader.
He is.
But does he have a ring? Does he have the ring? No, he doesn't. So until Steve gets those rings, and honestly, I kind of see him and Kobe probably retiring at the same time because Nash is actually older than Kobe.
You know what? I might be kind of crazy, but I think Nash is gonna go first. I really do.
That's what I meant.
Just like a little bit, a little before. But I think Nash is gonna leave first.
Yeah, honestly, I think they're going to go at the same time because Kobe has already dropped a couple of hints.
Yeah.
That he's trying to set the Lakers up for the future. Kobe's trying to get that, and correct me if I'm wrong, he got 3 rings with Shaq, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And then he won 2. Then he won 2 with Paul Gasol.
Mm-hmm.
So he needs one more to tie Michael Jordan and cement his legacy. And when they get it, I didn't say if, I said when they get it this year, Kobe's going to ride off into the sunset.
Yeah, I can
because
see
that's
that
what he wants.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. He wants to cement his legacy next to the greats of the game, Michael Jordan, particularly Michael Jordan, because nobody's going to catch Bill Russell. I mean, let's be honest about that. Who is going to have such a great team with parity the way it is in the 21st century? Who's going to pop? Who can you fathom a team winning 11 championships?
No, I don't even think that he can do it. The 1, 2, 3, that everybody knows that's exaggerated, but he's one of a kind. Bill Russell himself is one of a kind, and a team winning 11 championships, that's not even possible either. So I think Russell is just in the books, in his own category.
Yeah, Bill Russell was absolutely the man. And I don't see anybody ever. That's one of those unattainable records. That's a record that will never be broken. 11 championships with one franchise, that'll never happen. It'll absolutely never happen again.
They'll get close.
We can. Yeah, like for instance, Michael with 6, Kobe with 5. But yes, no team will have that level of dominance ever again, where they're winning the NBA championship year in and year out for a sustained period of time. It just won't happen. The best you can hope for is a three-peat. That's absolutely the best you can ever hope.
And Varejao, his stats were similar to Chamberlain. Not saying he's as good, but his stats were of Chamberlain's caliber. So that was pretty interesting, but they got a good win against your Wizards. But they got a good win. We have to admit it. They did a good job. That's a good start for them. The audience.
Bring up my.
The audience was hyped though. Like if you saw the highlights or anything, you can see that Cleveland was pretty hyped about their start. You know, like they were pretty hyped about the game itself. So that's kind of entertaining for them, really. But you also have we did mention Hawes and the MVP chants. I need you to explain that for me, man. I don't know what's going on. Like MVP already.
I mean, yeah. Let's be realistic. The season is what, 2 games old. For us to be getting MVP chance and after 1 week or 1 day or 2 days of basketball is kind of ludicrous. I mean, yeah, he had a good game. He had 16 points, 12 rebounds.
That's right.
But realistically, I mean, my thoughts are that it's just ludicrous for those 3 letters to be coming out of anybody's mouth at this early stage of the season, unless you're talking about an established player who has won MVP awards before. But you're talking about them in the past tense. You're not talking about them in relation to what's going on this year, because nothing's going on this year. You don't even know if they're going to make it through the season. So, yeah, let's not get all crazy with the whole pause for MVP thing. That being said, and that being the case, come on, let's go. Kevin Love, MVP. Really? That's just my thing.
Yeah, that's it. You know, I don't think it's a word, but it's kind of sickening to just people are just overreacting because they're just so excited about the season coming into play. Yeah, they're already talking about MVP talks after the first game. It wasn't even the toughest game they're going to play this season. They played the Nuggets. They're probably going to play the Lakers. We can bet on that. They're going to play the Heat. That's going to be even tougher. Now, we have to give him props. We have to give Hawes props because Bynum was out, and I did mention to you, Hawes is going to replace Bynum. He's going to do a good job. They're a good team. Hawes, he's all right to replace Bynum for the time being. So we do have to give him props. But MVP chance, that's not necessary.
Right. And you mentioned that this is not even the toughest game they'll play this season. This is not even the toughest game they'll play this week.
Yeah.
This is the NBA. Come on. Really? MVP chance after 2 games. Really?
To be honest, when they play the Nets and the Knicks, I think that's actually going to be even tougher than the Nuggets, to be honest. Because that's the vision.
Right.
They're developing all-star players. Because all you were really playing against with the Nuggets was Iguodala. That was like the key player you were playing. So it's only going to get tougher.
MVP. What?
Even Humphries. Last year it was Chris Humphries. He made one free throw and they're like, "Oh my gosh, MVP." Really?
No, not really.
Really? No, and seriously, they did that to him because of all his issues with Kardashian and everything. They just did it, I guess, to open his eyes a little bit, you know, that some people actually like him or something. And they did that, but they still did it. Really? There's no need.
The ultimate gauge of this is the NFL, where fans live and die week to week. Every week, if their team wins, they're the greatest thing ever. If their team loses, it's doom and gloom, and we can't even make it to the playoffs. But your team is 1-1. Really? That's how life in the NFL is. I never expected to see it in the NBA with such a long season. The NBA is an 82-game season. For you to be crowning an MVP after 2 games is ludicrous and is unacceptable.
Actually, I'm going to correct you with that. It was actually 1 game. It wasn't probably even 1 game. It was probably 3 quarters in. But it was the first game. That happened in the first game.
Unless he's averaging 30 and 20, it probably won't happen because ultimately the stars in this league, the superstars in this league, are who gets the hardware.
To be qualified, first of all, to be qualified for the MVP is you have to make the All-Star game. You may have to be part of the All-Star weekend. Is Hawes there? No. I don't even think with 30-20 he's going to be voted in, because it's voting polls that decide who's going to go in. His skill might be caliber, but they might not vote for him. Bynum might come back soon, and he's the only guy to quiet all these chants down. Bynum is the only guy who can stop this.
If he averages 30 and 20 for the first half of the season, he better be in the All-Star game.
Do you think people are going to vote for him, though?
I mean, absolutely. Didn't they vote for Kevin Love?
But that's Kevin Love. He also competed in the three-point shootout. There you go. He's well-rounded. That's why they voted for him. And he came from UCLA, a great program. Yeah. He has a lot in his benefit.
Yeah, you're right. They did vote for Kevin, but they voted for Kevin Love because Kevin Love brought his A game. If Kevin Love was just a guy on the roster, on the Minnesota Timberwolves roster, who came out and happened to score, 20 points one night and then went back and scored two or 12 points the next night, Kevin Love wouldn't have been voted in. But if Kevin Love performs consistently, I strongly believe that the fans in Minnesota, in Philadelphia, if Halls performs consistently over the course of the first half of the season, I guarantee you Philly will raise up and will vote him into the All-Star game. Take into consideration that there are basketball fans throughout the country that have a level of integrity, meaning if you're performing and they are true basketball fans, they will vote for you as well. Halls for MVP. Really? Okay, I'm done. I'm off my soapbox.
Let's go ahead and change the page.
Sandy greatly impacted that region.
Yeah.
And my thoughts and prayers goes out to all my family and friends. Definitely. And everybody in the New York area, in the basically all up and down the East Coast, the northern East Coast in particular. But what do you think of that? How do you think they're going to perform when they finally do take the court?
All right, so the game was postponed due to the storm itself, and how I think they're going to perform, that's going to be a vicious rivalry we have there. They're just one block away. They really are. They're like right there. It's going to be a vicious rivalry, both geographically and physically. I mean, you're playing on the court. You're playing your hearts out to win a game. The Lakers might die winning a game, but they're not winning right now. As hard as you try, sometimes you don't win. But that game, it's going to be tough. The Nets can win it, or the Knicks can win it. It all depends. You never know what's going to happen from now to then. Hopefully the game is soon, but it's going to be a very interesting game. And we'll talk a little bit more about that game soon when we predict what's going to happen later. Like, just eventually who's going to win that game. But I'm telling you right now, it's going to be very even. It really is.
But I do probably see the Nets winning that first game.
And also, Ludacris, you said that word before. Ludacris actually dressed up as Anthony Davis. And Tony Parker, 23 points, made the critical bucket at the end of the game, down to the wire, and they just got the win. Tim Duncan got 24 points and 11 rebounds, and the Spurs just managed to get that win. But it's going to be a very interesting series.
Was that actual growth? Because that looked like real hair. Did Luda just decide to grow a unibrow? Maybe that's something, a trait that's in his family or something, the Cro-Magnon man. But it looked real. But Anthony proudly wears his unibrow, and hey, if it works for you, buddy, if it works for you, brother, go for it.
The thing about Ludacris actually growing his unibrow is impossible, because I actually just let my eyebrows just grow. I never cut it, and I don't have a unibrow. So that's going to be pretty difficult for him to just be like, I'm just going to let it grow so I can dress up as him. He probably just put it on there. I don't think he grew it. I don't. It's hard. I can't do it myself.
Hey, don't be surprised in this era of what's the term? Metrosexuals. Luda may have been trimming his unibrow all these years. We don't know.
I don't know what's going on in Seattle, but they got a wonderful fan base out there. And
definitely, that stadium is just packed. It's wonderful for every sport that plays there. It's wonderful.
The one question that I would have for you is, for a guy like me who never really has followed soccer, what would you tell me to persuade me to really gain an interest in that sport?
Great question. Great question.
As much as I love American football and basketball, I mean, this is I consider this sport, the best sport in the world and my personal favorite sport. And that just being because I think, like, if you look at it from a physical standpoint, it probably demands some of the most physical activity you can think of in terms of endurance.
It does.
And I guess if you could, like, play a basketball game on the size of the pitch as soccer players do, then I think you would see a much different, like, physique in most basketball players, because when you play indoor soccer, it's the way people get open and the way the game is played and spread out is very similar to basketball. But if you take basketball and you make it, like, on a grander scale, on, like, the size of, like, a football field, and I mean you're gonna have it's kind of like that. Just think of, like, an expanded version of basketball. But instead of using your hands, using your feet. And quite frankly, like most of the sports we watch, everybody's using their hands to, control the ball in some sort of way, and that's, to me, like, I think it's a beautiful game in the sense that not only are you running all the time and you're trying to create space and anticipate what your other teammates are going to do, but you're also doing this while trying to control the ball with your feet. And I think that's something where obviously we kind of take that for granted because we've got hands. Most of us have hands, and for that matter, we watch football or baseball or basketball. But I just feel like it's kind of a very tough thing, to play a whole game with just your feet for the most part. But I guess really from, like, someone that would want to be interested in it, I guess just the respect of the physical standpoint of, we have a great respect when, a LeBron James or Kevin Durant or somebody, whenever they tack on, like, about 40 minutes in an NBA game, that's a very impressive stat. And I think if people have respect for that, I think they should also have respect for someone that's going to play 90 minutes on the pitch on soccer, because that's definitely quite a feat, if you will, in regards to physical attributes. You guys have heard of Messi, Lionel Messi?
Yeah,
right?
definitely. I actually wanted to point out just real quickly, I have heard Messi being the best soccer player, I guess right now, like they were mentioning that. Do you think that's legitimate? Do you think it's like, what do you think of that theory that they're saying that he's the best soccer player, at least right now? What do you think of that?
Without question, he is the fastest. Mm-hmm. You put that guy in a team and you put him at, like, attacking midfield, and he's wonderful. He does everything. I mean, the guy just creates so much havoc. It's hard to get the ball away from him, and he just has a nose for an opening and finishing the ball. I mean, right now he is the best, and he deserves the titles that he had from last year.
Yeah.
However, this coming year, I think it's wide open to Messi. Messi's number is 10. Anytime you're considered the best player on your team, they typically give you the number 10 because they're essentially saying, like, you're not necessarily the captain, more so you are the impact player of the game.
What about the Alabama-LSU game? For some reason, I'm really rooting for LSU, and it seems that a couple more people are doing so as well. What do you think of the Alabama-LSU game? Do you think Alabama has a chance to win the championship or something? Well, what do you think of that game?
So for me, I'm thinking I just want them to have a decent game. I mean, their two games last year, especially the national title game, was such a snoozer.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm really hoping for at least a decent game, a watchable game. The national championship was just, it set football back like years, it seems. Especially with Les Miles trying to run like an option, like in the fourth quarter when, his team hadn't crossed the 50-yard line all night. So, yeah, he's just, I'm looking for like the Mad Hatter to come back again. I'm looking for him to throw like some crazy trick plays in. when they're not expecting it. So, but yeah, I mean, I'll give LSU a chance. They're at home, so it's definitely not easy to win Baton Rouge. It's nearly impossible to win Baton Rouge.
Yeah, definitely.
I agree, but I think that Alabama probably has the. I'm going Alabama on this one. I kind of see them winning another national championship. That team is sick. So that's the way I see it. But
well, I know. Who was it this week? I think it was Spurrier that actually said that Bama. I think he just said the other day in some radio interview that Bama's so good this year they could beat some pro teams right now. He didn't say which pro team.
Yeah,
but,
that's what I heard this morning.
I'm sure you're referring maybe Jacksonville or someone on
my Washington Redskins.
We hear those comparisons all the time, like, oh, this great college team. Like last year, I believe people were talking about Kentucky when Kentucky won the national title in basketball. A lot of people were saying like, oh yeah, they could easily beat them.
The Sacramento Kings.
Exactly, yeah. Whatever crappy NBA team was last year, the crappiest. Bobcats. Yeah, I'm in Charlotte, so yeah, the crappiest team in the NBA was the Bobcats.
Yeah, I mean that's.
So, yeah, I thought it was kind of funny.
Yeah, I mean that was last year. I mean, I'm not saying they're gonna be great, but that was last year that they can beat them. So they're really not right now. We don't know who's the crappiest because it just started. But yeah, Bobcats are probably there, unfortunately.
Steve,
it's so easy to discuss like the best.
Yeah, because
you guys don't get me started on the Bobcats. Please don't get me started on them, Jay.
Yeah, I just attacked them with the Wizards today. Like we talked about the Cavaliers game, so I attacked them twice now. It's the SP Show podcast on SPS Radio on YouTube. It's the SP Show. Thanks for listening, and we are on SPS Radio on YouTube. It's the SP Show.